Okay, so I just got the Boxblade hooked up here for the first time. Looks pretty good, and took it for one pass down the hill. So we'll get to it here and see how much I can sort of grade off here and then fill into the bottom, and then I'll put stuff over top. ultimately what I did was I took the pile of wood scraps that was down here. It was basically just a bunch of mulch, and then I mixed it in with the fill pile I had up there. I had a bunch of rocks and everything like that, and just took it all, filled in down here and a little bit up there. After I filled it in, I drove over with the tractor, and this will give some good subsoil that has some organics in it at least. Up here I removed a bunch of rocks and cut the top down so it more or less matches the slope here. Did my best to try and fade into what this was existing. And then on this side it was mostly just removing a bit from the top and dragging it through to make it not so bumpy, and taking out the large rocks that were sticking through. And of course there's a bunch of rocks that are everywhere, and you know, more will stick through as time goes on until I get it soiled and grass on it, but I did manage to lose a good amount of rocks in filling this. Next step is putting topsoil on and then putting grass on it. Though I don't know when I'm going to do that because it's June now, so it's getting a little late to plant, but I'll see what I can do so this doesn't completely wash out. Alright, so the other day I had all of the waste material taken out from up front, and then I just spent an hour or so raking because I just had a little bit of downtime. Unfortunately, I didn't get to record it, but I cleaned up all of up here and pretty much took everything I pulled from all over this area and all over the side yard, just piled it all up here. Now what I want to do is take the box blade on the tractor and take pretty much everything from this side of the tree and pull it diagonally that way to add a bit more fill, to fill in this little valley here. And then I want to take the box blade again and pull a lot of this stuff up into this valley over here, because I'm going to have a lot of it. And then my plan with this pile is it's kind of a mix of dirt and sticks and everything. And I'm either going to screen it or just try to completely lose it as fill right here and then put stuff over top of it. So let us get to using the box blade. Alright, so what I did was I just went over all of the ridge line in between the trees and all the way over to the corner, and basically pulled the top down and a bunch of it all up into here. I'm trying to fill in just where all the water is going to pool. So next I'll be going through all of this without the scarifiers on the Boxblade to bring it all level, and then adding in where I need some more. Alright, so over the last 2 days, I went over this with the Boxblade with the scarifiers down to rip it all up, going from the street in to pull up the ridge and try to fill in the area here that was lower. And then after that, I took the scarifiers off and just cleanly Boxbladed across perpendicular to where I went to try and bring more material down there where there's a hole, as well as get rid of all the roughness. And then over here I made a large swale in between the trees so that it's nice grade to drive in and out of if I need to get a lawnmower in and around here or bring my truck to the back from this way. And then on the other side of this tree I tried to do the same thing, just taking down this ridge line as far as I can with all the roots that are still over here. And then I took the whole scrap pile that was here and just completely filled in this area. And I will need more fill over here, but what I want to do now is swap the Boxblade out and put on the Yorke rake, and then try to pull all the garbage that I pulled down there all the way back down here, and then that'll help even out any ruts and get rid of all the excess rocks and roots that I've pulled up over using the scarifiers on the Boxblade, and that'll help clean it up and do some more leveling. Alright, so I went over everything with the rake here, and I was able to, really cut down this edge over here after I got the pile out of the way and swapped over to the Yorke rake. It let me pull up a lot more of the rocks and the roots that the Boxblade would just bounce over. What I did was I just did a double pass over everything just to grab what was left on the surface and get rid of all the ruts and dips. And then because of that, what the rake did was it dragged a lot of that loose material and it nicely filled in all of the garbage material that I put underneath this. So I can grade this a bit easier and then fill over top of this with topsoil, bringing the level, or rather bringing the grade down evenly through here and splaying towards the direction of the street. There's a few spots in here that need a little bit more material that I was trying to drag in here, but that'll just have to happen when I get some screen stuff. You can just see how much I cut out of here. Originally this was at the height of that tree stump to this tree stump right here across. And I've removed probably about a foot out of this. Nice and even. I don't remember if I've said this in any other videos, but inside the rock wall and all around and buried in this front yard is just immense amounts of porcelain and glass, ceramics, and a lot of it, just sticks straight out of the ground and can puncture the tires. And I've actually shredded 2 front tire sidewalls on the Kubota, so I've replaced 2 tires on that. And then yesterday while I was grading, or maybe another day, I got a staple through the back tire, so I just plugged that. And look at this. It's like anywhere you look, glass. It's like a goddamn trash pit over here for everybody off the road. Oh, look at this. More glass. And actually in the ash dump video, when I'm sitting around and looking around on the ground while my dad's using the backhoe, I'm picking up glass and putting it in the bucket. So I've collected probably somewhere around 2 gallons worth of glass out of here. Can even see all the stuff that I've just been, picking up as I go and I see it. Alright, so I've done a few passes of Yorke raking back here just to clean up the majority of the mess the other day. And I figure now, while I still have the rake on and I have some more time, I was going to finish up raking, especially up around this pile. Take all this stuff out of here and maybe even just take it from all over here and drop it down in this valley so that I can take some fill from over there and place it on top. But I figured it would make most sense to do this now while I still have this pile over here so that I can keep cutting and filling and putting excess in that pile and figuring out where I want to put it after. Ultimately, I'm not going to make this thing perfectly flat, but I can see areas such as right in front of me where it lips up a fair amount, and then areas over here where it's pretty depressed. So it's mainly a matter of cleaning it up and seeing what I can do with the Yorke rake and the Boxblade to get it a bit more leveled out so I don't end up with a bunch of puddles. And then taking what I can from that pile and either screening it or just dumping it if I have enough depth to fill in those depressions if I don't get enough from pulling off of the high spots. Okay, well, I didn't get time to film this, and it was sort of not that interesting, but I moved the whole fill pile, and that ended up back here like I was first planning. So the whole pile ended up in between these few trees back here in this valley. I'm gonna get to pushing it around and try to level it out a bit more once I get some screened fill or screened topsoil. This is lower priority since it's so far back, but ultimately it brings up this area a bit nicer, and the fade in from that hill over there and from the back won't have as much water pooling, and we'll get a better drive for a tractor or a lawnmower. And this weekend we also got rid of the huge pile of sticks and roots. We ended up taking it to the landfill in 2 trailer loads in the dump trailer, and then I took the rest of the scraps and just poured them out back. Now that I've removed both piles, the backyard is nice and open. And you can see here the slope on the hill is pretty nice, especially up behind the rock wall. And overall, the actual grade back here isn't too crazy. Not too many ruts and dips. And once I get it soiled, it'll be fine. Again, the only places that I would like to add some more soil for structural grading is in that corner right there off the bonfire pit, and then some more down at the bottom of this hill in that corner, and then up there in the front where I didn't get enough with pulling from the ridgeline. And so my next big project here will be putting in an irrigation system. I don't want to be running above ground sprinklers, and I definitely need the water, so an underground irrigation system will be perfect. And my plan is to put it in myself. Basically, I'm going to only run the front, the side yards, and then up through the back of this ridge line so that I can spray from the top down, and then I can have them kind of 360 and spray back here. And I'm not going to worry too much about the backyard because it's so much area to cover that it would be really draining my well to get it all watered, and all this back here has more tree cover. So this stuff back here should be fine. I'm mostly worried about especially watering everything up and around the house. So before I do any topsoiling and final grading, I'm going to be working on putting in that irrigation system so that I'm not overly compacting all the soil that I just buy and put down, and then it's not washing out before I can actually get seeding and watering it. But overall, I'm really satisfied with how most all the grading has come out. Again, just the final things that I want to do with the screen topsoil, and that'll come after the irrigation system. In the meantime, I'll be working on not only the irrigation system, but a bunch of small projects, and I'll return my focus to finishing up the patio down here.